Hello, I'm Bert Villalpando, and I'm going to show you a demo today of migrating NoSQL JSON data from a Cloudant service into a dashDB analytics database. It's going to be using the Schema Discovery Process, or SDP, that we spoke about in our presentation. It's going to start from Cloudant and move into Dash, showing you a way to use your transactional, or in this case a systems of engagement records, that is in unstructured data into a structured database so that you can perform analytics on it. It follows this process of discovery, creation of what we call the warehouse, an SDP schema kickoff and migration, and then we're able to sign in and use the dashDB database. So I'm going to start here with a Cloudant service. In this service I have a couple of databases. One's called Geo and one called Movies. I chose these two because they're very different. This one's very complex, the Geo, and the Movies is very simple. Both of them will help us understand the process better. If we go into the simple one in Movies demo and look at some of the JSON records, we can see an ID and a revision ID. And then we see some fields here that will become columns in our database. So this is the movies database, so it has movie names like Dark Knight and persons who are actors and information like that. And if we look down through some more of the records, let's check this one out by random. As we can see, there's less columns here. So the JSON gives us the flexibility of variable no schema information that we can use in our NoSQL database. The Geo database is a little bit more complex if you look at the records. So there's kind of arrays and tiering in here, and we'll see what this kind of information will become in a relational database. So that's the two databases that we're moving into dashDB from our Cloudant service. This is the dashDB service data instance and or database. I just called it Cloudant to dashDB demo. You can call it anything you like. And I wanted to show you that I have a sample schema here that has a bunch of tables in it. This is what it looks like when a schema is filled with tables. This is the default schema that we connect to dashDB with, -6458. That's the kind of schema name you'll get in the free version of dashDB, which is what I'm using. And as you can see, there's no tables here. So we have nothing in this default schema yet. So that's the premise. We're going to move from Cloudant to Dash using our schema discovery process. So what do? Well, we'll start by using this special section called Analytics. And if you click on that, you'll notice that there's a Create Warehouse tab. So we're calling this a warehouse, and the warehouse can be a dashDB target, or it can be a DB2 with blue acceleration target, whether that be on the cloud or on premises. And we'll give it a name here. We'll call it Cloudant to dashDB warehouse. And we're going to migrate the Geo database and the Movies demo database. All right. So I chose those two from our Cloudant source, and I'm going to go ahead and click on this Customize Schema that allows me to check what the schema discovery process was doing for me and allows me to change it if I want to. You don't have to do this, but I thought it would be interesting in the demo to show that we can in fact change what the schema discovery process does. Now we're going to go into an existing dashDB service instance. And we're going to use this one called Cloudant to dashDB demo. You could create a brand new dashDB instance for this, but since I already have one ready to go, I'm going to use it. And then you just hit click Create Warehouse. It gives me a warning that it's about to do its thing, and the schema discovery process is kicked off. So you'll see here that we have one warehouse with two sources. I call the warehouse Cloudant to dashDB warehouse. When I click on it, I see the two sources One's for the GO and one's for the movies demo. But because I asked to customize it, it hasn't kicked off automatically yet. It wants me to validate what I want to do to potentially change what the SDB process is going to do. If I hadn't checked that, it would already be doing its thing without any wait. But because I asked to customize it, as you can see, the geo looks a little bit complex. It has the geo table, and then it's creating another table called features, and one's called property tags and classifiers. And this allows me to change any of the tables that it's about to create in the dashDB database in any way that I like. I'm going to leave this one alone. It's a little complex, but I wanted to show you that you could do it. And now down here at the bottom right, I click Run. And now it begins the actual process of migrating the JSON records into Dash. Now, let's do the same thing with the movies demo. This one's a little bit more simple. It's just one table that the Cloudant data, JSON data is getting moved into. And as you can see, I can change the data type in some cases, or if it's varchar, I can change the length. And so there's some power that I can do. So if I wanted to change the food table to be less columns, or I want to get rid of the food column, not the food table, the food column, I can get rid of it completely. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take foo out of there. I don't want that, but the rest of the data looks interesting and useful, and then I'm going to hit Run. Okay. Now again, if I hadn't done this check it out before, it would have already started the process of running the SDP and figuring out how to build the tables and then moving the data into them. And as you can see, this is a spinning wheel. So this is saying that it's in the middle of doing its thing, not just creating the tables on the dashDB side, but also migrating the data. And then it's keeping it running from there on in. In fact, this process now keeps you up to date. No matter what you do to your source JSON records, it'll automatically replicate over to dashDB. And of course, you can stop the process and do other things with it as well. And you could even add new sources if you have another Cloudant database you want to add to your warehouse quite easily by clicking this button. Alright, so what's happening here is on the dashDB side, I have the tables now being created and being populated. So if I do a drop down, lo and behold, I have a geo table, which is the base table, which is kind of uninteresting actually. It only has keys in it. And then the features data, the property classifiers data, the property tags data, and every table always gets a overflow. So this one is the complex one from the geo. If you notice, the movies data is very simple. I'm going to start with it first. And so it moved the movies data to a relational database. Here are the columns and the data types. And looking at the data, you will see information that is now relational. So there's movie names here, Gaslight and Whom the Bell Tolls, some ratings, person of birth, date of birth, and so on. The person name is the actress, Ingrid Bergman. So you see all this nice relational data that you can do stuff with. The overflow table is there for errors, and in this case, the SDB process was able to do its thing without having any errors, so there's no data to show. I just wanted to show you the overflow table and what it's for. So it shows you exceptions and warnings and what records it was that had the problem. In this case, we had none, which is a good thing. And we can do the same thing with the geo table. Like here's a features data. And the features data shows the property addresses and the city for the geo location and so on. And then each of the properties has various tags. And this was taken right out of the JSON data and put into a group tables, and this shows that there, as an array index, there's more than one value for each of the geo properties ID. And these values describe what the property does, like web design or web development or creative ad or whatever this stuff is here, visual communication. Okay, so that's data. If I wanted to now, I have a relational table, so I can start doing my analytics on it. And I have a couple of queries here just to give you an idea. The geo query is more complex. There's two tables here to join, geo features and properties. And I'm going to look for any property that has web design in it by doing a join. And the movies is I'm just going to show the top 5 movies by earnings. All right, so that's just a couple of queries that I whipped up to give you an idea that yes, this is now relational data, and we can do our analytic queries on them at will. And we did this from automatically doing the SDB process from our JSON documents. Okay, so here is the results. Here is the first result for the geo query. And if you see here, I found 3 properties that have web design, that do web design by joining that data in a relational query. And in the movies, here is the top, let me drag this up here. This is the top movie, Avatar. I guess that's not a surprise. Then the actors that are in the movie. And if I wanted to go through and find, the top, second movie is Titanic. Third movie is Avengers, Dark Knight, and finally Star Wars. All right, so we're able to do analytics on this data now. I want you to think of it as something that you could summarize or look through millions of records to find analytic data on, and we can do that because we're using this really cool Cloudant analytics capability that is keeping us now in sync between our system engagement or a transactional database in NoSQL into our dashDB database for analytics. All right, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.